Good morning. It's the 17th of May. We are Signal Centre Talking Bull. I'm Joe Neighbour, joined by Steve O'Hare. Nice to
Good
have you back,
morning.
Steve.
Yeah, great to be back, mate. Great to be back on dry land.
You've got 2 days to yourself later on in the week, so
Where are you going?
going to Scotland.
Scotland.
Taking on
Lovely.
an epic challenge, trying to do the 10 highest peaks in the UK in 24 hours is the plan.
Oh, lovely. You should have gone for the 10 highest peaks in Essex. It would have been a lot quicker.
It would have been, yeah. I would have had that over and done within an hour. Yeah.
And what, you running it or walking it or?
Yeah, hiking it.
Right.
But
Okay.
there'll be a bit of pace involved, I'd have thought, to try and get round it all. But it snowed in the Highlands a couple of weeks back, and it's still pretty deep up there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so should be fun.
Well, I don't know. What you class fun as, but
Just
fun
not
for
being
me.
here is a
Yeah,
winner.
that's true. Yeah, that'll be a decent thing. It'd be
Going on
nice
an
to get away.
aeroplane will be interesting.
Oh, right. So you're flying up there?
Yeah, flying up to Edinburgh.
Right. Lovely. I mean, Edinburgh's lovely.
Yeah, and
Lovely
we got a
place.
night out in Edinburgh at the end of it.
Oh,
Once
brilliant.
we,
Yeah.
only if we
And
complete it, though.
yeah, exactly. Well, I've got obviously this watch. It's like a Samsung watch, brilliant. And if I press the sort of home button 3 times, it sends a emergency message out
All right.
to whoever you select. You can select anyone or a phone number or whatever, and it just sends your location and your exact location in sort of latitude, longitude, and a message saying help me.
Garmin does the same.
Does it? Do you just
Yeah.
whack it? Brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really sort of like, you don't think about it until you think, oh, it's really handy if you do get into a bit of spot of bother.
Yeah, we've got all the apps downloaded, the What 3 Words and Kangol Mountain Rescue and all that sort of stuff. So hopefully we won't be needing it. But
hopefully you're well prepared for it.
Yes. Okay, well, let's crack on then with what's going on in news today. First up, in the UK, we had the next phase of the restrictions being lifted in the UK, so we can now dine indoors. Although there are shortages of chefs, according to the news I've seen this morning. So we're pushing ahead with using.
They've been paid to be furloughed, aren't they?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Why work if you can?
Or
just
have had to reskill with something else, maybe. So early stages suggest that the vaccines will be effective against this new strain that obviously everybody's worried about, the Indian variant, and numbers seem to be spiking, certainly in a couple of hotspot areas. So a heavy dose of caution is being applied despite the restrictions being lifted, but hopefully this is all okay and we can get back to some sort of normality. In the crypto world, quite a big old move from Bitcoin to the downside. I think we're in correction territory now. Is it over 30% off the highs?
Which is sort of picked up on that last week. Yeah, sort of running out of steam, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll come on to that when we look at the chart shortly. But it appears to be Mr. Musk who's dominating the headlines again, seeming to imply that his company Tesla may sell or may have already sold its Bitcoin, which has taken the cryptocurrency below $44,000. We've had other members of the corporate world, like Jack Dorsey, who is the Twitter founder. He said his firm Square, who are a payments firm, will forever work to make Bitcoin better, but it's not having the same impact as Elon. Elsewhere, obviously, the situation is pretty severe in Israel at the moment. Lots of attacks backwards and forwards, and it's really not a nice situation by the looks of things. Obviously, we're now seeing world leaders step in to try and calm it and broker peace deals, but I imagine that will continue to rumble on for the coming days. Hopefully not beyond that, because I think we all want to see a resolution. Elsewhere, I think that's pretty much it from what I wanted to talk about. There was some news about the bubble potentially unwinding, and I think we've seen a little bit of that. I think Taiwan, as I mentioned last week, they saw a bit of a selling frenzy, which should, according to some, be a bit of a warning sign that the tables are turning against the world's leveraged investors. We saw a real big de-escalation of risk in Taiwan because there was so much leverage in the markets, and I mentioned it last week on Talking Bull that could potentially be the case in the more developed markets as well. Particularly, I think NASDAQ. Obviously, we've already seen that. And I think given that such big tech names are involved in that, and that's where a lot of the interest is, that could quickly unwind, because I imagine there are quite a few leveraged participants in that market. But we'll see. We'll come on to some charts shortly. I'll give Steve a little bit of a chance to find his feet on some of these charts, as he's been away for a couple of days, and I'll dive straight into what's going on with FX. So first up, dollar index. We continue to be trading within this channel. We saw a little bit of interest on the 12th, but there was absolutely no follow through to the upside. We seem to have found some support around about the 90.35 level, but while we're trapped within this channel, it probably is a case of selling rallies, although we're coming to a critical junction now, I think, in that we've got a fair amount of support around here. So we're either going to break down and head to new lows, or we're going to break up and we're going to start to see a corrective move to the upside on the US dollar. Obviously, if the US dollar does start to move to the upside, that may imply that we're seeing risk off in other areas of the market, such as equity markets, which are again higher today. Obviously, Bitcoin has come off quite substantially, and there's been no real impact there. We haven't seen people coming out of Bitcoin and going into the US dollar. I just don't know if that's the mindset of those kind of traders, whether or not they'd even consider going into fiat currency, having been such big backers of Bitcoin.
Well, I suppose if they do come out of Bitcoin, they actually are going into the US dollar anyway.
Long of the US dollar, yeah. Maybe. I guess, not in maybe a speculative sense, though. But
no, but they're sort of like, I suppose that a lot of them will be looking at the Bitcoins thinking, get out of it and then sort of look to buy cheaper, I suppose. So effectively they're doing that trade.
So they are buying dollars, aren't they?
I just wondered what Elon Musk's thinking is behind it. He could easily say what he said and then decide, what, it's down to 30,000. I quite like it here.
Is he openly maneuvering the markets himself and manipulating stuff?
Potentially, but if you're actually, there's nothing wrong with sort of like trading and then saying what you've done.
But the fact that he's such a massive influence on the price.
Yeah, but that you can't say you're manipulating the market because you're such a massive influence. You can't. You're just telling people what you're doing. There's no law against that. So effectively, if he's bigger than the market,
who's he telling before he's telling everybody else, though? Is the question.
Well, he only has to tell himself, or his guys who,
or his closest cronies.
Yeah, but what could it's not market manipulation because he's just a big whale. So it's one of those things. I think the market has to sort of suck it up.
Yeah. Okay, on to euro dollar. So obviously that's continuing to move higher with the move lower in dollar index. I did have some resistance in place at 121.23, but it's overshot that and pulled back to find support at that level. So quite interesting there. I did think that maybe there was a head and shoulders forming. I would note that the volume's picking up on this right shoulder here. So is that sort of a point where we're starting to see the battle take place, and whoever wins out will be where obviously the next direction goes. I still think it's poised for a move lower maybe, but it's very speculative at this point. It is only a potential head and shoulders top. It needs to get down here before we can even consider it being a top. But more choppy price action, I think, is expected over the short term with that. If we look at cable, that's continuing to look quite strong overall. So sterling continuing to be quite interesting, although we did stall a little bit last week. But we've got previous highs up here at 42.41, so that seems to be the sort of natural level to target in the short term on cable. If we look at euro sterling, a little bit choppy, not a lot going on, sort of breaking out of wedge patterns to the downside potentially. So looking for an opportunity to sell into that for a continuation lower maybe. Not really convinced either way on that one, so not the best chart for me at the moment. Aussie dollar, sorry for the mess on the charts here. I was again thinking maybe a head and shoulders top was forming here. Again, it's early stages. We need to see it down here before we can really back a top being in place, but more chop I think on that front. Dollar yen looking pretty good. It needs to get over this resistance at 109.70, and then we'll be looking for a move back up to these highs that we posted on the 31st of March up at 110.96. So I think that's still the best option if you're looking to buy dollars at the moment is buying it against the Japanese yen. That's pretty much it on the FX front for me today. As has been the case for a while. There's more interesting stuff going on in other markets, and Steve, hopefully you're going to cover those for us now.
Yeah, I'll take a look at the indices. I'll start with FTSE and then move down to ones that are sort of like really grabbing my attention a bit more. FTSE in the weekly chart, we're in this this sort of wedge formation, but last week's candle is really sort of for me really quite interesting and important. It's a hanging man candle, so that's a sign that the upward sort of like move we're seeing, we've broken above the 78.6% retracement of this previous down move when we went into full pandemic, and this is showing signs of not being interested above this level. So for me, that really is a bit of a warning sign, especially on a weekly chart. The daily chart really showed the opposite. Bullish hammer and extension higher on Friday. However, we've given up a fair chunk of those gains already this morning. So really still a little bit of on the upside, but overall that hanging man candle from last week for me is a real warning sign. On the DAX, we see the same on the weekly chart. We've seen a number of candles which bearish engulfing, could be bearish outside candle, shooting star type candle, hanging man. What we're going to get for this one, I mean, started off on the back foot. We're already lower than where we opened last week, so again a bit of a concern. Weekly chart, Dow Jones hanging man candle. Nasdaq is already under a little bit of pressure, potential for a double top here. I think we highlighted it on the daily chart. Extended, moved down, but really we can sort of like say this top and this top, potentially a sort of like almost, well, it's not a treble top, it's a bigger double top. The neckline is way down here, so the markets really are in trouble. This inverted hammer is almost like a bullish formation on the daily chart for Nasdaq, but again, as we said, Monday hasn't started well. But still a little bit of hope here on the Nasdaq. On the S&Ps, we saw the recovery from the lows just in front of the 4,000 psychological level, and the push higher, and again a little bit of weakness to start with. Aussie 200, not really a lot to say about that, but really want to sort of like highlight this weekly chart in the Chinese 50. I've said before that for me, the Chinese 50 is the one that really can be the catalyst for a stock sell-off. And if we look at this almost flag formation, this is what I think potentially it could be. It's not a very clean one, so not many people it'll be not picked up very easily on the charts unless you do look closely at it. But this channel formation is very similar to a flag formation, and obviously as we've come from higher levels to these lower levels, we're getting this consolidation. I'm really sort of like nervous if we do get a break below 16,440, which is a little bit of a way off as we speak, so it's not going to sort of like, well, it doesn't feel like it's going to happen anytime soon, but potentially over the coming weeks, then the alarm bells for me will start ringing. The measured move target on this is a move to 13,637, but I think this will be maybe even extended further if we do get this break. On the shorter term chart, on the 4-hour chart, well, go to the daily first. Let's try and keep it in order. So we've seen this almost bearish move lower, higher low here. So we've got this inverse head and shoulders formation clearly on the 4-hour chart. Measured move target for that would be a move from the head to the neckline, and we extend it higher from where it breaks the neckline, and that indicates that maybe a move towards 18,450. So looking closer, we've got this break above the horizontal level, which is for me is another one to watch. Although it breaks the neckline, sometimes it's better to wait for confirmation and get a break of the horizontal level, which we did get. So it looked quite tasty, but then a little bit of a retreat, and that gives us till 10 o'clock to see whether we do hold above there or not. A little bit on the Nikkei. I love this one. Obviously, I was away for this. But I did pick up these 4 support levels last week. We got the reaction off it, and then we had the break below it. And I did say that when we get back to here, we'll have a retest of this neckline, we'll call it.
Textbook.
Yeah, perfect, isn't it? And hit it, and then sort of like collapse committee. So Nikkei under pressure as well. Let's move off the indices and have a little look at gold.
Come on, Bitcoin. Everyone wants to look at Bitcoin, Steve.
Do they really? Shall I go Bitcoin first? I'll go
go on.
Bitcoin first. Right, Bitcoin first. So this is what the points we were highlighting, this resistance. We were talking about it last week. I talked about it in my video last week. We were definitely under pressure despite the sort of pullbacks. It wasn't managing to hold above this level, that 59,000, the 60,000 psychological level held firmly, and we got this turnaround here and the break below the this would be the double bottom formation here, break below that level, and then measured move target for that would be a move equivalent to the top to the bottom. So that really targeted a move to around about 48,500. And we did say that for us the real support level was the 50,000 psychological level, and below that we had the 47,500 level, and we've sort of sliced through that quite nicely. So no real signs of, I mean, that's the 4-hour chart, so that's a short-term chart, but let's have a look at weekly. I mean, the weekly, that's a horror show. That's a bearish outside candle, and it's taken out the previous support on this chart, 47,270. We've not the worst start in the world. We've got down to 42,000, which we obviously highlighted as well as a major support, because we had this peak here when we made a new all-time high of around about 42,000, and then we had the move down to 28,700 before the next impulse up higher. So as we've said before, this is potentially for us a classic formation. I've been calling it for weeks now about this ABC correction. This candle here, which made a new high at 65,000, maybe we draw it, but that's what you get. You get the top of the 5th wave. That's the end of it, and then the move down. So you know, a classic correction after a classic impulse move. Now, where do we go from here? Well, so 42,000 for me is the key level to watch. If we get a break below there and a sustained move, that means I think we're going to 28,500. Don't panic just yet. But it's not looking very pretty. If we're thinking about the Elliott wave theory, you have this. Let's get the. I'm not going to draw it exactly, but you get the 5-wave move higher. Maybe I have to draw it exactly. You get the 5-wave move higher. Let's close it off. Here we go. So from basically 100 up to here, so this is the sort of like the first wave. We'll take it across to here, and then we have a really short 4th wave correction. So that's how it looks. Will it look better on a log scale? Let me see. Doesn't look so bad there. No. But that's where we get the first wave up, 2nd wave correction. We can probably take it back, really. It's there, the 2nd wave correction, because this is a high low. Then we get the really short 3rd wave, and then the 4th wave can't go below the 1st wave, the top of the 1st wave, which it didn't, and now we get the 5th wave correction. But it all sort of feels like it's sort of like screwing up into a big spring. Now, I don't know if they're going to sort of put too much pressure on the spring and it's going to snap, or it's going to catapult higher. It's definitely a wait and see. But this correction here, you know, if you're sort of like sitting on the sidelines and you haven't really Let's get the 4-hour chart. The hourly chart is just sort of like horrible to look at. You're sitting on the sidelines and you've never invested in Bitcoin and everyone's talking about it and it's the real sort of in thing. And you're sort of thinking, is this the potential buying opportunity that I've been waiting for? Normally when things like that happen, you get the move like that becomes very extended. You get people just diving in. Oh, this is a level 42,000 previous swing high, blah, blah, blah. Let's get in here. And then you get the overextension move to the downside. So for me, I'm negative still on Bitcoin. I potentially in the future, I don't know when, there's still good potential for another move higher, but I wouldn't waste my money on it. Especially at these levels. I think that from a crypto perspective, cryptocurrencies will one day rule the world, obviously, but I don't know which one it will be. I don't think I'm pretty sure. I'm not pretty sure. I don't think it'll be Bitcoin because too many people are involved now. It'll be one that not many people are involved in and get caught by surprise. Let's have a look at commodities. Coming back down to earth a little bit. Obviously, gold looks a bit messy. Apologies for this chart, but we have extended higher. We got up to the 1845 level. We were looking at 1835 level as the sort of like real retracement and correction based on the double bottom formation. And obviously, we were looking at a decent retracement lower. This is where I think we're going in gold. 2,500. Again, that may be the time when cryptocurrencies will have that sort of like next leg higher when there's a proper dollar collapse. That's what I think. When it'll happen, don't know. This is sort of like not really a sort of timing tool for me. It's more, it could happen whenever. But a little bit of a way off. We're not completely, the monetary system isn't completely kaput just yet. I was looking at silver as well, and for me, this is a little bit of a congested area, a little bit to and fro potential for a bullish flag, which targets a move to $50. And again, that will probably happen around about the same time as gold, although silver is a very, very undervalued commodity. I think that's me. I think I've waffled too much, but yeah, that's
great.
Me.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, so gun to the head from Friday. Obviously, it was all by myself without Steve to help prop up the R. Nothing, you missed nothing, Steve. I had a 5-tick winner on euro dollar and then a 26-tick loss on euro dollar. So all in all, about half an hour offside on those two calls. So obviously not made any ground. So let's get back on it today. In terms of what I fancy today, I quite liked what was going on with the indices. Obviously, they've seen quite a significant turnaround already this morning, following a reasonable push to the upside. So what we've posted here is a bearish outside candle on the FTSE 100 on the hourly chart. A decent close below the 10 exponential moving average. A little bit of a bounce back over the last 12 minutes or so, but I'm going to sell it anyway. It's at 17,018. Stop loss at 7,086, so just above these highs that we posted last week. And I'm targeting a move back down to these swing lows at 6,822. So looking for 3R on that one today.
Nice one.
We shall see. What do you fancy, Steve?
Yeah, I'm sort of going to go with you on this. I think it's a bit of a classic. We've sort of got another sort of top in place. So for me, this is a triple top potential. The double top potential neckline is down at 14,827. We had the move down there, so that double top played out. It actually hit the target really nicely. Well, sorry, didn't hit the target, but reacted from the neckline really nicely. So it sets up a potential triple top because you've got the neckline here and neckline here at the same levels. And if you look closely at the 4-hour chart, we have got this bearish outside candle and the rejection just now. So the stop on this trade needs to be above the previous highs, 15,525. That feels like a proper level where I could get stopped out at, and then it comes off. Call me cynical. Well, that's coming at 15,545, so I'm going to use that, and I'm going to target a move down here. So
it's almost like it knows it's
yeah,
trading
it's setting
views
me
in
up, isn't it?
conjunction with the big traders in the market. So just let him put his stop there. Everyone will have his stop there.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a little bit of a. I'm going to move it even slightly more. So for me,
nice R on that one.
2830, 4660, is it?
Oh, you're not going at the lows?
Oh, why have I done that? 28. Yeah, why's it moved?
Look at that. Lovely. And if it breaks that and you get a triple top form, you're looking for even lower prices. You're going to give us 2 targets on this one, Steve.
Yeah, I should really give you 2 targets. That for me, I'm going to, I like round numbers. I'm trying to work out what the risk reward should have been there to get around 4-to-1 risk reward. So getting short here, 15,404, and the stop is at 15,545. Hopefully that'll be enough. But going on past historic trades recently, I'll get stopped out by 2 ticks. So maybe put your stop a little bit above that, targeting the move back down. So if we do get that, that's my trade of the day. But obviously, if I was to think about the real target for the confirmation, if we do get a break of there, that confirms the triple top, and that targets a move down to here,
61.8.
61.8. I think we've nailed it, haven't we?
Yeah, it's just everything's aligned there, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a trade worth doing, I think. It might take a couple of weeks to play out, but
what would be the risk reward down at that level? Drag the target down.
Yeah, nice. Sort of 8, nearly 9-to-1.
Oh yeah. Obviously speculative at this point.
Yeah,
until it breaks, it's not a triple top, but
it's a 150-point stop. Quite a lumpy stop if you're a sort of intraday trader. But that's the sort of moves you do get in. You easily get a 300-tick move in sort of like DAX.
Definitely.
So yeah, that for me is, I quite like that one because DAX is quite reactionary. A little bit. I'm a little bit less patient. So FTSE for me is just too slow.
Yeah, I agree.
And yeah, DAX is the one. That's it.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Steve. Good luck. Okay, so what's going to move markets today? We do have, obviously, markets continue to be dominated by inflation concerns. Bit of an indecisive start to the week, certainly on equity markets. We've obviously got the rising concern over the Indian variant in the UK and whether or not that will impact the reopening. In terms of economic data, we've got the US Empire State Manufacturing Survey, which is due out at 1:30 this afternoon. And of course, we've got the ongoing conflict between Israel and Palestine. So, hopefully that doesn't get any worse and is not a factor in markets this week. But it's still very much front and center. So, be careful if you're trading. Obviously, always use stops. And I think that's it, Steve. Anything else to add?
No, just sort of like, obviously, you can officially hug from today, but don't hug me. Don't want to hug.
No, all right, fine. I'll cancel my trip to you at lunchtime then. I was coming around for a big hug.
I know. I'll tell you who I would give a hug to. Alison Becker.
Oh yeah, that was a nice header, wasn't it? That was.
Yeah, it was a good header. Yeah.
Cool.
Excellent. All right. Have a good weekend.
Good day.
Okay. Have a good week. Cheers.
Bye bye.